Hi everyone, it's Stephanie here and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be coloring some floral stamps. I have the Hydrangeas in Bloom stamp. This is one large stamp that has 3 different hydrangea blooms included in it, and I wanted to show you a quick and easy way to color. Sometimes flower stamps can be very overwhelming, especially clusters of flowers where you have a lot of area to color. I find that I really like clustered flowers just because I don't have to stamp multiple flowers to get a full card image. But there is a lot of flower to color, which can be a little bit intimidating if you don't generally color flowers or you don't have a lot of experience with coloring. So I wanted to share one of my favorite ways to color in flower stamps when I'm kind of in a rush or I don't want to try and get super technique-y and really try to play around with my coloring medium to get shading and dimension. So what I like to do is I like to take my colors, and I still like to work in groups of 3. That's typically my favorite combination when I'm using Copic markers. But rather than coloring in each individual petal, which is what I typically do, I'm going to color in the entire flower just like it's one image. So I'm going to use the outline of the entire flower as my main outline. I'm just going to go around the edges just to get the edges colored in there. And then once I have that done, I'm going to go right into the center and just fully color that whole entire flower. I'm not paying attention at all to any of those petals. I'm not trying to kind of concentrate the color in each one. I just laid down all of that color to fully saturate my flower. Now I'm going to take my darkest color, and normally I would kind of go into each petal and color them just as one just to get that really nice definition for each petal. But rather than do that, I'm going to use my darkest color on the outside and my medium color to kind of blend that in, and then finish off with my lightest color. And while it doesn't have a lot of definition because we have it colored as one large image, it still looks really pretty with that great purple color and how we have it kind of dark and then fading into the light. Now for the greens, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I went in with my lightest color first, and then I'm going to go in with my darkest color and add a little bit of shading. Then I'm going to use my medium to blend the two together and then finish off with my lightest color. For the turquoise flower here, I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is BG11. And once again, I'm going to go all the way over that whole entire flower to fully saturate everything. I'm then going to come in with BG15, which is my darkest aqua. And I'm going to go around all of the outside edge and kind of bring that color in towards the middle a bit. I'm not being super careful, I'm just kind of scribbling it together so that everything will blend nicely together. I'm using the medium to blend the two together and then coming in with the lightest color once again. And then for this last hydrangea, I'm going to finish off with some really bright pink colors. I'm using RV21 as the base color, and then I'm going to use RV14 and RV13 as my dark and medium. And just repeat that process once again, bringing the medium and the lightest to kind of blend everything together. Once I had the second 2 flowers colored, I did realize that I lost a little bit of that contrast that I had in the purple flower, so I decided to go back in with some of the dark colors just to blend that a little bit more. And now we have all 3 of our flowers finished. Now these are probably not accurate colors. I'm sure that there are not aqua hydrangeas, but that's the great thing about flower stamps is you can color them any color you want to fit any occasion, and they're going to look beautiful regardless. So now that I showed you how to do that on a big flower image, I wanted to also show it to you on this fantasy floral image. This is one of my favorite flower images from My Favorite Things. I've colored this multiple times before. I've actually shared a video at Christmas time coloring this in with different Christmas colors. And now I wanted to show you it colored kind of for spring. So I'm doing the exact same process. I'm just changing things up a little bit on this one. And rather than doing the full dark color all the way around the outside edges, on some of these flowers, I'm just putting that dark color at the bottom and then bringing it towards the top and letting it go a little bit lighter at the top, mainly on these roses here. So I'm going to color the roses both with that purple. I did an aqua flower already here, and you'll see me color the last one in just a minute. And then for the pink flower, I decided to go with the darkest area on the inside of the flower and let it fade off as we made our way out towards the petals. And then for this last turquoise one, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the first card and do all of the dark areas on the outside and then blend that together towards the inside and leave a nice highlight on the center of those flowers. And I also used all of the exact same colors on both of these cards. I wanted to be able to show you an accurate difference between the larger flowers and the smaller ones, so I wanted to keep the cards both exactly the same color palette. So I'm just finishing off this last one here. I have all the leaves already colored with the same green combination as the first one. And now we have 2 finished panels. We have the really large hydrangeas, and then we have this smaller grouping of flowers from the fantasy florals. To add a little bit of something to this card, I love the look of paint splatter on a colored flower card. So I'm going to be brave here and do a little bit of paint splatter on here, even though I've done all of this coloring already. I'm going to add some paint to my acrylic block and add a little bit of water to thin it out. And then I'm going to use a paintbrush to splatter this onto the card. You can do this two different ways. You can kind of tap it with your finger like I showed here, or you can kind of flick it off the side of the acrylic block, which is my preferred way. I love this because you can kind of control the splatter and you can make it large or small depending on how you flick it on that acrylic block. So I'm going to go ahead and add a bunch of paint here until I'm happy with both of them. I love the final result of this. I just think it looks so pretty to have all of that paint kind of splattered over top. So I'm going to go ahead and let those dry, and then we can go ahead and assemble the cards. For the greetings, I'm going to be stamping onto black cardstock. I love the contrast, as you know, of the black and white in the sentiment strip against all of that fun color. So I'm going to stamp all three of the sentiments at once. These are all from the Biddy Thanks and Gratitude stamp set. And I'm going to cover them all with white embossing powder. They were stamped with Versamark ink, which is a clear sticky ink, and it's going to hold on to that embossing powder and allow me to heat set it with my heat tool. Once I had those heat set, I did die cut them with the Skinny Strips Dynamics, and I'm going to assemble the two cards. I'm adding each of my panels to a black licorice card base. I love the really dark black card base with that sentiment strip together, and then the really bright pop of color with the flowers in the middle. I'm going to adhere the panels directly to my card bases with just regular adhesive to keep them very flat. Then I'm going to use some foam adhesive on the back of the sentiment strips to add a little bit of dimension to those. I'm going to add the single sentiment strip to the Fantasy Florals card, and I'll use a T-square ruler to get that lined up since I'm putting it right in the center of the card. I love having the sentiment strips overlapping the floral images. And then for the other card, I'm going to use two sentiment strips together to have a double sentiment, and I'm going to layer them one on top of another the exact same way I did on that first card with foam adhesive underneath. And now we have two finished cards. The last thing I did here was added some clear gems to both of these cards. I love the look of clear gems anytime I'm using flowers. I think it looks like water droplets on a card, and I just think it really adds to the overall elegance. So now we have two beautiful spring-themed cards with all of this nice, fun, bright color. But we colored them very quickly because we colored the flowers as whole images rather than individual petals. I hope today's video gave you some ideas on ways that you can quickly and easily color in your floral images. If you enjoyed today's video, I'd love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to be notified of future videos, make sure you click that bell and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, I appreciate you being here for another video, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for watching.